Ever catch yourself watching the financial news and kind of wondering, how does any of this even work?
Or maybe you have thought, hey, a career in finance, that could be interesting. But it all seems so, I don't know, like a bit of a secret society.
Well, today we are cracking the code, pulling back the curtain on what it really takes to be a financial trader.
And more importantly, we're going beyond the buzzwords, giving you the actual skills needed, the different paths your career could take.
We're even going to give you some tips on how to nail that job interview.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's start with the basics. What is it that a financial trader actually does all day?
Okay, first thing, forget about that Hollywood image. People yelling at computer screens, frantically making trades.
Yeah, I was going to say it sounds a little Wolf of Wall Street to me.
Right. Well, while there can be some intense moments, really, it's much more about strategy. It's about analysis, thinking more like kind of a financial puzzle solver.
So less about that gut feeling and more about strategy, actually assessing risk.
You got it. At the core, it's buying and selling financial products, things like company shares, bonds, things like that. And they're doing this for clients, institutions, anyone who wants to kind of navigate the market and hopefully grow their wealth.
So let's say someone's listening and they think, hey, that sounds like me. I'm into strategy. I like fast-paced environments. Where do they even begin?
Well, that's what I love about the stuff you shared, particularly the RoleCatcher career guide. They don't just tell you, hey, it's a cool job. They break it down, the skills you need to succeed.
And I have to say, some of these really surprised me. Like, I went in thinking, okay, you got to be a math genius, which, I mean, yeah, it's important,
Right.
but
Of course, gotta have some math skills, but
is it everything?
exactly. It's like saying, oh, you want to be a chef. All you need to know is how to use a stove.
Right.
It helps, but there's so much more to it. And the RoleCatcher guide, it really digs into that, highlights skills you might not even think about.
Like what? Give me an example.
For example, active listening.
Active listening. For finance, I thought it was all about spotting trends and, crunching numbers, that sort of thing.
It's definitely part of it, but picture this. You're a trader, you've done your research, you found what you think is an amazing investment opportunity. But your client, they're hesitant. Maybe they heard some bad news, they're a little unsure. That's where active listening comes in. You really got to listen to those concerns, figure out their risk tolerance. You're going to tailor your whole approach, address their doubts, guide them to a decision that works for them.
So it's not just about having all the answers, right? It's about connecting with the person, building trust.
100%. And that actually ties into another key skill highlighted in these resources, persuasion. And it's not about being, slick or anything like that.
Right.
It's about using data, market knowledge, and your communication skills to get people on board with your strategy. And that could be a skeptical client. It could even be, navigating a volatile market.
So you're like a financial detective and a diplomat all in one.
Exactly. And what I love about this RoleCatcher guide is it shows you how these skills actually work in the real world. They even give examples of what a typical career path might actually look like.
And I think that's what's so valuable, right? Because it's one thing to say, hey, yeah, go be a trader. It's another thing to actually lay out a roadmap, to say, here are the steps you might take from entry level all the way up to, who knows, head of trading.
And what I think is really cool is they don't sugarcoat it. They're very upfront about the fact that it's a field that's constantly changing. You constantly have to be learning.
So you're not just coasting on like that college degree.
Not at all. Nope, not even close.
Yeah.
The financial world, I mean, it just never sits still.
Yeah.
You've got new products, new regulations, new technologies. It's always evolving.
It's like trying to hit a moving target.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
And RoleCatcher, they have a great example in the guide. They talk about, algorithmic trading.
Oh, right, where it's computers making the trades based on like pre-programmed instructions and algorithms.
Exactly. So it's not just about intuition anymore. Wow, you have to understand these complex systems.
It's fascinating, though, isn't it, that this blend of human intuition and then cutting-edge tech.
Totally. And that's why I think they put so much emphasis on continuous learning. Like, you got to stay on top of the financial news.
Of course.
Maybe you join an industry association.
Like what would be an example of that?
Well, like the CFA Institute.
Right, the CFA.
They offer the Chartered Financial Analyst designation.
Which, that's a pretty big deal if you're in the finance world, right?
It is. It's globally recognized.
Yeah.
Shows a real depth of understanding, not just of investment analysis, but also ethical practices.
So it's not just about making money, it's about knowing how to do it the right way.
Exactly.
Okay, so someone's thinking about getting into the field. How important is a certification like that?
It's a commitment, for sure. I mean, you're talking hundreds of hours of study,
Intense
but it can make a huge difference.
in terms of
Career advancement, earning potential, even just getting your foot in the door. And actually, RoleCatcher also mentioned the FRM.
Okay, the financial risk manager certification.
That's the one. If you're interested in that whole world of risk, super valuable.
So it's like sending a signal, right, to potential employers that, hey, I'm serious about this. I'm not just here for a quick buck. I'm here for the long haul.
100%. You're showing dedication. You know what you're talking about. And again, that commitment to ethics.
Which, let's be honest, in an industry that's had its fair share of scandals,
Right.
that's got to be huge.
It's essential. And, speaking of getting ahead, we got to talk about this because this feels very 2023 to me. RoleCatcher's AI tools.
Oh, yeah. We're getting into, like, the future of job hunting here.
Right. They've basically integrated AI into every step of the process. So picture this. You're working on your CV, okay? Their AI analyzes it.
Okay, so it's not just checking for typos.
No. It goes way beyond that.
No.
It's looking at how well it matches the algorithms that recruiters in finance are actually using.
So it's like having, like, a digital marketing expert fine-tuning your resume specifically for Wall Street.
Even more targeted than that. Because, get this, you can link your LinkedIn profile, and the AI analyzes your entire network. So it's identifying people who work at the companies you're interested in.
So it's like supercharged networking?
Right.
Okay, but what about the interview itself? I mean, that's got to be the most nerve-wracking part, right?
It is. And this is where it gets really cool.
Right.
So imagine this. You're prepping for this big interview, and you have this AI. It gives you like this bank of potential questions that you might be asked, and it's all based on real interview experiences.
Wow.
But here's the thing. It also analyzes your responses.
What do you mean analyzes? How does it even do that?
Voice analysis.
Oh, wow.
Natural language processing. It can tell how fast you're talking, your tone. Are you enunciating clearly?
So it's like having a personal speech coach, but in, like, your computer?
It's amazing. It's like having a crystal ball for job interviews.
That is pretty wild. Okay, but with all this focus on, like, the technology, the getting ahead, I have to ask, is this job as stressful as it sounds?
Honestly. Yeah, it can be demanding. The sources we looked at, they don't hide that fact. Long hours, a lot of pressure to make the right call, especially when you're talking about large sums of money.
Yeah, and it's not just about your own stress tolerance either, right? You're dealing with other people's money. That's a lot of responsibility.
It is. And again, that ethical component, the sources really emphasize that. It's not just about making as much money as possible.
Yeah.
It's about doing it the right way, being transparent, putting your clients first. Right. Building that trust is so important.
It really is. So you've got all the skills, the certifications, you've aced the interview using your AI tools. Where do you actually work? Is it all like Wall Street trading floors, those intense offices with the walls of computer screens?
Well, that's definitely the classic image. And those places, they exist for a reason, especially if you're at a big financial institution and investment firm. That energy, that feeling of, wow, information is flying, decisions are being made right here, right now. It's exciting.
I bet. But it's not the only option anymore, right?
Right. With all the technology now, more people working remotely.
Yeah, things are changing.
You see financial traders working in all kinds of settings now. Smaller firms, maybe they specialize in, like, a niche part of the market, or even, like, independent consultants.
Working remotely.
Exactly.
You don't have to be in that high-pressure corporate environment.
Not necessarily. And that's where, those core skills, they really come in. Whether you're on a trading floor or working from your home office, you need that sharp mind. You got to be able to explain things clearly. And that ethical backbone, that's non-negotiable.
It's about having that strong foundation wherever you are. Okay, so I got to ask this because we've been talking about these AI tools all episode. Could they ever replace, human financial traders altogether?
It's a big question, right? And I think even RoleCatcher, they're trying to figure that out. I mean, the AI, it's incredible. It can process so much information, make trades super fast. But I think there's always going to be a need for human judgment.
Really? What is it about, us humans?
We can see beyond the numbers, Like, what's the feeling in the market? Are there things happening that the algorithm might not pick up on? And honestly, connecting with clients on a human level. Talk about their money, their future.
That's personal.
People need that human connection.
So it's less about, like, man versus machine and more about finding that balance.
Totally. Using the tools to be even better at what we do.
I like that. Well, this whole conversation has been fascinating. We talked about spills, career paths, even like the ethical side of finance. What's the one thing you hope people listening will take away from this?
That being a financial trader, it's not just about being good at math. Yeah, you got to know your numbers. But it's also about understanding how the markets really work, being ready to learn new things all the time, and doing things the right way, always.
With integrity.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
challenging, absolutely, but also incredibly rewarding.
It's about taking that deep dive.
Exactly.
And on that note, for our listeners, if you want to learn more, check out the RoleCatcher Career Guide. It's a great place to start if you're even a little bit curious about the world of finance. And until next time, happy investing.